Welcome to Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan-made game with over 170,000 possible combinations, as well as over 50,000 custom sprites made by the community. Tons of you have been asking and asking, so today we deliver. We'll be doing this run using only Lopunny and Gardevoir fusions, and no, this is not a run for those who are solely here for unholy reasons. A lot of these fusions are insane. So buckle up, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Also, don't forget to check out our Discord channel to stay up to date with channel news and to choose future content. Since we're going to be using some of the more feminine Pokemon in this run, I decided to name our rival Brock because, well, that. Anyways, we picked Goldeen as our starter, knowing it would create some of the most amazing fusions with Gardevoir and Lopunny. But because of that choice, we gave our rival Togarier, one of the most annoyingly strong Pokemon I have ever given my rival as a starter. But I guess we'll have to deal with that consequence again later. After getting our butt kicked by Brock's monster starter, we ran an errand for Professor Oak, who gave us a Lopunny and Gardevoir as a reward. How thoughtful. We quickly went out, caught some Pokemon, and it was time to create our first awesome fusions. Goldeen and Lopunny looked good, and Gardevoir made Larvesta look stylish. But I had to go with Lopunny and Larvesta, because this Goldeen and Gardevoir fusion was absolutely gorgeous. I love these details. With our first two team members ready to go, we pushed on to the first gym. Now, as we make our way there, let's talk about how this run's gonna go. This game is set to hard mode, so we'll be consistently under-leveled. I'm also gonna give myself a new Lopunny after the first badge, as well as a Gardevoir after our second badge. Then we'll build the team on from there. Also, look at this adorable Gaspion. Anyways, we had finally made it to the original Brock, who is now a Ghost-type gym leader. And after seeing my team, he got a little too excited and jumped right into battle. His Chandelraf was strong enough to take out our Lopunny, and Gardevoir wasn't quite strong enough to take revenge, losing our first battle. On our second attempt, we used Double Team to evade Brock's advances, Chandelraf's attacks, and we were able to take it down with Peck. A Shedinja fusion then came out, and I was worried we wouldn't be able to take it out. Luckily, it was a bug type, so it went down with a single Peck, beating the gym leader, getting our first badge. With our new Lopunny added to the team, we tried out Gyarados, and the fusion was good, but unfortunately we had the typing already, so we went with Pikachu instead, which also has a nice fusion. Look, I don't even know how to compliment these fusions without it being weird. Are you guys happy? Are you happy that this is the run that you guys have requested? Don't even get me started on the Miltank fusion run requests. If you want to see cursed fusions with way too many others in the near future, subscribe. With our newly added team member, we battled through some trainers and made our way to a nurse who seemed to be helping someone who is injured. Brock, being weird as usual, appears out of nowhere and makes the nurse so uncomfortable that she leaves. Being uncomfortable ourselves, we head into the cave. As we run through the cave, we find Team Rocket grunts all over the place. One even had a Blastoise Mewtwo fusion that caused us some trouble. Eventually, we ran into a group of Team Rocket members running some sort of experiment involving triple fusions and moonstones, and having seen too much, they attacked me. Luckily, the scientists proved to be no problem, and suddenly the experiment malfunctions. They quickly run, leaving all the equipment behind, and not exactly sure what had happened, we press on and out of the cave to get as far from Brock as possible. Unfortunately, when we arrived in Cerulean City, our rival Brock was waiting for us. Unsurprisingly, they had gone out and caught their own Lopunny fusion, and it destroyed us again and again. And even when we managed to beat it, there it was, Togarier waiting, smiling as it stomped us into the ground. Eventually, I decided I needed my second badge and 4 team members to beat Brock, so we headed to Misty's Grass-type gym. Her Yanfeon wasn't much of an issue, and it would eventually fall to either Embers or Electro Balls. The hard part was Megator, who would not fall. So after a few attempts, we swapped out our Larvesta for Ninetales, which was amazing. And finally, we had enough firepower after setting up a nasty plot to use Flamethrower, burning through her team. We then, with our second gym badge, fused Umbreon with Gardevoir and headed back to fight Brock. Pika-Unny was able to paralyze his Lopunny fusion, eventually knocking it out with Electro Ball. Goldevoir was able to get a little damage into his starter before being stomped out, and then luckily our Umbreon fusion was able to finish it off with Magical Leaf. Kadatic also fell to Feint Attack, and Charogue, their final Pokemon, easily fell to Confusions. We had finally beaten Brock. While traveling north of the city, we ran into a man named Bill. He had recently fused himself with a Rhydon, and after helping him get back to normal, he gave us this SSN ticket and allowed us to use his fusion equipment for ourselves. We worked, we researched, we worked some more, and finally, we had come up with even more powerful fusions than before. This Suicune Lopunny fusion, as well as this Reshiram and Gardevoir fusion, meant that our team was now unstoppable and ready for the runway. And by the runway, I mean the tunnel running down to the next gym. On our way south, we fought this hiker and our Lusharp, which looked amazing. It quickly fell to Flamethrower though. We also fought her Magikarp Baniri fusion. Anyways, the next gym was blocked by a tree and the captain of the SSN was known for teaching moves like Cut, so we made our way on board. To get to the captain, we had to fight some sailors and their crazy Pokemon, like the Steel Quaza. We finally grabbed the keycard and made our way to his quarters. Suddenly, Brock stopped us once again, wanting a rematch. His Charette fell quickly to some quick attacks, and luckily our monster Suioni was able to take out his starter all alone. His Victreebel also quickly fell. His final Pokemon, Magilord, stood no chance against Umvar's Magical Leafs, and we sent him packing. That was much easier than the last fight thanks to our new monstrous fusions. We grabbed the HM Cut from the captain and rushed in to face the fighting-type gym leader, Surge. Suioni took out his Dig Champ with Bubble Beam, and Reshiram gracefully finished off his Tangela fusion with Flamethrower. We then Draining Kissed his Manran to sleep, and it was over, winning our third badge. Time for more fusions. Gardevoir and Genesect made this Cyberpunk Blaster Girl, while Skarmory made a Bird Queen. Gyarados made this amazing mermaid-like sea creature, while Lopunny and Wailord made this horrifyingly happy-looking one. Lopunny and Skarmory looked like it would step on ya. You know, if you're into that kind of thing. While Golurk made one of my favorites from the run. No, not this one. This one. Look at how cool this fusion is. I love the flaming ears. Gardevoir and Galvantula made an anime reference. I believe a main character from something called So I'm a Spider. But I hate spiders, so I've never seen the show. But as a bonus, I decided to make one of the Lopunnies and Gardevoir shiny. So here's the shiny form of the spider, as well as the shiny form of Suioni. On our way to the next gym, we fought this amazing Reshiram, rushed up north to the next route, and fought our way through tons of trainers. Kaiouchao was way too cute, and eventually we made our way through the cave to Route 10, eventually to Lavender Town and the Pokemon Tower. Inside the tower was Brock waiting for us once again. He led Dragflora, which we quickly cut down with Gardentula, and we even almost managed to knock out Togarier before fainting to Bulldoze. Scared of our legendary fusion, Brock switched out to Togestar, which fell to Bubble Beam before ever attacking. We then sent out Gounny to take out his Volchoke with high horsepower, and finished off his starter with Shadow Punch. After the battle, we witnessed Mr. Fuji being captured and taken to the top of the tower, but due to a ghost problem, we weren't able to follow. So instead of reporting this kidnapping to the local authorities, we made our way carefree to the next gym. Not our problem. We fought a few cool Metagross fusions on the way and made it to Celadon City. Erika, the gym leader, was waiting for us outside her gym and asked us to come help her with Team Rocket in the sewers. So we did as she asked. We got extremely lucky in a battle in the sewers where a Shedinja fusion came in and we could not hit it. Luckily, their Pokemon gave our Pokemon Reshiram the ability Mummy, which then, after getting hit, changed their Wonder Guard ability to Mummy as well, which allowed us to hit it and knock it out. Otherwise, we definitely would have lost. Once we came to the end of the sewers, we split up, and after reaching Erika once again, we find that she had been defeated by Team Rocket's leader, Giovanni. We couldn't let him get away. Ninani fell due to missing Jump Kick, but luckily Reshiram was able to take out his Ampharos fusion with Flamethrower. Likeshire then came in and knocked us out with Iron Tail, but Gounny finished it off with high horsepower. Suddenly, Pseudorath, which is a goofy looking dude, took us out with counters, so we sent in Suioni to take it out with special attacks like Bubble Beam. We were able to finish Giovanni and he fled. Luckily, the evil team leader left behind just what we needed to rescue Mr. Fuji, so we grabbed that and once again ignored what was probably most important and challenged Erika and her Ice-type Pokemon. Her Glavuar knocked us out with Mirror Coat, but luckily Gounny fights with its fists, so we were able to knock it out with Mega Punch. Smoobass somehow managed to knock us out with Avalanche, but it fell to Flamethrower. Her Delimite also fell to Flamethrower easily, winning our 4th gym badge. Halfway there, which means more fusions. Zoroark and the shiny Lopunny looked like just a bedhead Mega Lopunny. Corsola was adorable and orange. Kangaskhan was having fun playing Mom, while Parasect was this awesome neon yellow color. Roserade was amazing, but I ended up liking the shiny Roserade better. Aegislash made this awesome knight, and Machamp, well, hey, control yourselves now. Gardevoir and Mismagius made this amazing Dark Witch, and its reverse was a good witch. Rhyperior became this massive guardian, and Typhlosion looked like this moody teen. With our team now reorganized, it was time to rescue Mr. Fuji. A ghost girl stopped us at the top of the tower and had what I wish the evolution for Dunsparce looked like. After beating it, Mr. Fuji gave us a flute as a reward for coming to his aid. Does anyone know, can this flute wake up Pokemon in a battle? I've never tried that. Anywho, we continued south, battled some fishermen, one of which had a buff reindeer, and found a Snorlax sleeping, blocking our way. We played this flute, it woke up, and we captured it for later use. Janine, the woman who is also waiting to get through, thanks us and invites us to come fight her father, who is the next gym leader, Koga. So of course, we had to take her up on her offer and we made our way to Fuchsia City. On our way, we fought this adorable but awesome Seaments, and I just wanted to share this cute guy with you. Look at him. Finally making it to the city, it was time to test our might against Koga's steel types. Our Typhlosion fusion easily took out his Duo Wrath, and wanting a challenge, we switched out to our Gooney against his Girope. We eventually knock it out and Jirabi comes in to fight. Eventually it knocks out our Rhyperior fusion but faints to the black sludge it was holding. Luckily we still had fire moves left, so this Shedinja fusion was able to be knocked out, defeating Koga for our 5th gym badge. We then caught some more Pokemon in the Safari Zone like this Bellicazam before backtracking to Saffron City. A Rocket Grunt stopped us with his Mario and Bellsprout team. I love that Mario sprite. But luckily it fell very easily and we decided to finally do something about these Rocket Goons. Arriving at Silphco, we managed to slay our way through a bunch of different grunts, which all happen to have a ton of different legendary fusions, including several Bidoof legend fusions. We saved a bunch of civilians and finally made our way to stop Giovanni. After we beat Brock, of course. The stalking is really getting out of hand, man. Our Typhlosion fusion was able to take out his Egg Poke with Flamethrower. Then our Gooney was able to take out his starter with high horsepower. Unfortunately, his Pindoof somehow landed a Guillotine, but luckily quickly fell to Flamethrower afterwards. We then switched into our Gargantua, and his final Pokemon, a Squirtle and Caterpie fusion, both fell. His Caterpie fusion did barely take us out, but then fell to our Rosalia's punch, so we won the battle. We then went in together to face Giovanni once again. Giovanni this time led with his own Lopunny fusion. And can we take just a second to recognize how absolutely stunning this Ninetales Melodic fusion is? Brock and I were able to take out most of Giovanni's team with ease until we got to his last Pokemon, Sandish. This little guy may not look intimidating and there might not be much going on behind those eyes, but he was able to wipe the floor with half of my team before we managed to take it out. Brock finally managed to take it out with his Lopunny Quillfish fusion, and Team Rocket retreated, leaving Silphco in peace. With the city now saved, it was time to go and face Sabrina for our 6th gym badge. Her fairy-type Pokemon were insanely difficult. This double Sylveon fusion was so insanely bulky that with her healing and the amount of damage that we were able to do, we couldn't even make a scratch on our team. After several attempts, we finally managed to defeat the double Sylveon, but then our Clefairy was there waiting to put us in our place. Tired of being destroyed, we went back and fused Gardevoir with Skarmory again to get a Steel type, and we went back in. We'd also retaught our Rhyperior fusion Poison Jab, and with it we were able to take out the double Sylveon, living on 1 HP. We then sent in our Steel type and used Air Slash to bring Clefairy into the yellow, and luckily it hurt itself in confusion and our Typhlosion was able to take it out with Flamethrower. We then tried to set up, but our Sylveon copied our stat boosts and almost knocked us out. Luckily, we were able to defeat it with Flamethrower as well, and her last Pokemon, a Paris fusion, fell quickly. Finally, we had beaten her insanely thick Fairy-type Pokemon. With that out of the way, we made it down to Cinnabar Island to face off against Blaine. But before doing so, we switched up the team once again. Empoleon and Gardevoir looked amazing and kind of like royalty. And I'm sorry, but this Gengar fusion looked like a dragon fruit to me. Gardevoir and Rapidash looked amazing, but I ended up choosing this form of Gardevoir and Rapidash instead. Lopunny and Volcarona looked absolutely stunning, so we had to keep it around. And Groudon and Lopunny looked really good as well. Slaking was a thick one, and Unknown and Lopunny looked quite mysterious. Lapras and Lopunny looked amazing. I love the little shield shell. And Magikarp and Lopunny was a shiny Magikarp, so it was gold. Snorlax looked pretty funny as well, but if you reversed it, you had Big Chungus. Lopunny and Furret was also super cute, but we needed some type diversity, so we stuck with Lopunny and Crobat. Here's a quick recap of the team we have going forward. With that, we headed straight for Blaine's gym to face him and his ground-type Pokemon. Blaine led this amazing Chartera fusion, but unfortunately was able to take us out with Giga Drain and Flamethrower. Our Unknown fusion was far too weak and fell to a single Flamethrower, but luckily our Volcarona fusion was able to finish it off with Bug Buzz and then set up a Quiver Dance. We used Bug Buzz to take out his Cubone fusion as well, and his Diglett fusion, but his Piz Trio fusion was able to knock us out with Earthquake and finished off our Skarmory as well. In our second battle, Blaine switched out his Charizard fusion, allowing us to knock out his Diglett fusion and get him extremely low on the switch-in. We then used our Volcarona Lopunny fusion to finish it off and again set up Quiver Dance, but this time we were able to set up 2. We then used Fiery Dance to take out Pedrio and win our 7th gym badge. I love Volcarona fusions. After the battle, we walked around the island and saw Team Rocket stealing a boat from the harbor and rushing off to Mount Ember. We then took to the seas, navigated the wild currents, and finally arrived to find Giovanni and his team fusing the 3 legendary birds they had captured. They were using the Master Balls they had gathered from Silphco. If you're new to the channel or Infinite Fusion as a game, you need to know that ZapMolCuno is a triple fusion that is absolutely insane. It has 3 heads with 3 separate health bars, as well as being able to attack 3 separate times each turn. I thought our team would be a little better off against this trio, but unfortunately this battle took us a ton of attempts. On our first attempt, we led our Rhyperior fusion, and after only doing a little damage to each of them with Surf, we fell to 3 attacks. Our Rapidash fusion then did massive damage to Articuno, but was quickly knocked out, and our Skarmory fusion did almost nothing. Our Unknown fusion was still too weak to do anything, and I thought we might survive a turn, so I tried to Quiver Dance with our Volcarona fusion. Unfortunately, we were knocked out, leaving our Croagny to take out Articuno, but falling to the other heads. After several attempts that went similar to this, I decided to fuse our Unknown Lopunny fusion with Groudon instead. We started leading our Rapidash fusion, and Groudon failed to attempt setting up, but eventually we got close and we still just couldn't beat it, so I decided to take out the secret weapon I had been holding in the back. Rayquaza and Lopunny looked amazing, and I knew it would get us through this battle. We once again led Rapidash and used Fire Blast to do massive damage to Articuno before fainting. We then sent in our Groudon fusion and used Stone Edge to knock it out, which allowed us to survive, and then used Stone Edge again against the Moltres to do decent damage, even considering a berry weakened it. We then sent out our Rhyperior fusion, which was able to knock out Moltres with Stone Edge after the berry was used up, and somehow we were able to knock out Zapdos because instead of attacking, it used Charge, which allowed us to knock it out with Poison Jab. I guess I just needed more rock moves the whole time instead, because we never ended up using our Rayquaza fusion. With their master plan defeated and the fusion splitting apart into 3 birds once again, Team Rocket fled. So we made our way back to Viridian City to get our final gym badge, which the leader turned out to be Giovanni. This time he was using Ghost-type Pokemon. Leading our Skarmory fusion, we were able to resist the Moon Blasts and get a little damage off before fainting. Giovanni then healed up as we spammed Stone Edge to eventually be able to knock out his first Pokemon. He then sent out a Squirtle Ghastly fusion and allowed us to set up a few Quiver Dances, then we Bug Buzzed our way and Fiery Danced the rest of his Pokemon. His Yamask fusion was able to knock us out, but it got burnt, so it fainted in the same turn. We then used our Gardevoir Rapidash fusion to Drain Kiss his Dark Tomb to 0, winning us our final gym battle. We had defeated Giovanni for the last time. It was now time to face our rival Brock once again on our way to the Elite Four. He led off with Pika Moth, which we were able to take out with extreme speed from our Rayquaza fusion, but then we fell to his starter. We then sent out our Rhyperior fusion as well, but unfortunately ours was no match for his and we quickly fell. His starter then swept through our Volcarona, Skarmory and the rest of my team with ease. In our second attempt, we let our Groudon fusion instead and used Bulk Up several times before finishing off his first Pokemon, the Stone Edge. We then wiped out the rest of his team with Earthquake, including this awesome Salamence Charizard fusion. His final Pokemon was a Lopunny Gardevoir fusion, which somehow stayed true to the run's theme, but it stood no chance and we had won the battle, meaning all that was left was Victory Road and the Elite Four. Since nothing interesting happened, we quickly arrived at the Indigo Plateau ready for the final bout of fusions. I love this creepy Giratina fusion, as well as this awesome Chandelure and Gardevoir. Aggron and Gardevoir looked great, but I love this other form of it better. Of course, Gardevoir and Charizard looked amazing, and Lopunny Rhyperior had this massive hammer and an adorable outfit. This Mimikyu fusion was crazy scary, and Celebi and Lopunny looked majestic. This Magmortar had Botox, and I absolutely had to feature this Kyogre form again because, well, look at it. Finally, Honchkrow and Lopunny rounded out the team. While I do a quick recap of the team, for those of you that are still here, if you've enjoyed the content, consider hitting the subscribe button and checking out our Discord, as it really helps support the channel. You guys are awesome and I appreciate all of your support. Anyways, time for the Elite Four. The first member of the Elite Four, Lorelei, was using normal type Pokemon this time. Her Ditto fusion stood no chance, so she switched it out. We struggled to do much damage against her Curlia Stantler fusion, and it managed to knock us out with our own attacks by using me first. We then sent out our Charizard Gardevoir fusion and knocked it out with Flamethrower. We then barely failed to knock out our Jigglypuff fusion before it took us out with Takedown. Finally, we sent out our Kyogre fusion with Origin Pulse and Ice Beam. In the rain, we were able to wipe through the rest of her team, winning our first Elite Four battle. Bruno was up next with this Bug-type Pokemon. He led with this insane Aggron Genesect fusion that quickly knocked out our Celebi. Luckily, our Charizard fusion was way too strong and was able to take it out with Flamethrowers as well as his Beedrill fusion. We then had one of the most cursed fusions come out that we've ever seen. It managed to do decent damage to us before falling to Flamethrower. We switched into our Honchkrow fusion, and with Bounce we were able to knock out his Caterpie Venusaur before falling to Paddock. Our Aggron fusion was then able to finish it off, winning our second Elite Four battle. Our third battle was against Agatha and her Flying-type Pokemon. It's unfortunate that we keep leading Celebi against fusions that it's weak to. Unfortunately, it gets knocked out by our Weavile fusion, and we retaliate with Honchkrow. We then barely managed to take out her Vaporeon fusion due to confusion, and Kyogre finishes off her next Pokemon with Ice Beam. Pidone stood no chance, and then somehow her Pidtine was able to take out several of our Pokemon before Honchkrow was able to barely finish it off with Bounce, only winning because we were slower. Mantine fusions are crazy bulky. I go into the final Elite Four battle hopeful that Celebi would get its time to shine this time. But of course, Lance was a poison type trainer. Celebi does her best but falls after only taking out the Nidoran fusion. Didcruel then is able to take out our Aggron and our Giratina fusions, but finally Kooni is able to take it out with Origin Pulse. His Sunsprout then somehow thaws after one turn of freeze with Ice Beam and knocks us out, leaving Charvor to finish it off. His Tangela fusion barely survives to knock us out with Gunk Shot, and we lose to Zushuru. Our second battle started by leading Charvor and knocking out his first Pokemon with Flamethrower. We then fell to Ditcruel's Sludge Wave. To finish the battle, we sent out Kyoani and set up a bunch of Calm Minds and easily swept through the rest of his team with Ice Beam, beating the Elite Four. One battle to go. Our rival Brock leads Corchamp, and after tanking an Energy Ball, it knocks us out with Dynamic Punch. We then send in Kyoani and get a freeze, so we set up some Calm Minds. We managed to take it out with Origin Pulse, and then managed to beat his starter before falling to this awesome Feraligatr Fusion's Bone Rush. Gardevoir then comes in and does some damage, but faints as well. Gardevoir quickly falls to Aqua Tail because I forgot it was a rock type, and it's not looking good. Our Honchkrow fusion barely faints before Charvor comes in to finish it off. Charvor then is able to set up some Calm Minds as our last Pokemon. Even in the rain, it manages to take out his final three Pokemon, with Blazes his final falling to Draining Kiss. We had barely beaten Pokemon Infinite Fusion with Gardevoir and Lopunny fusions only. For those that requested this run, I hope you're happy with the fusions we found, and if we missed some of your favorites, consider joining the Discord and dropping it in chat so that we can all see them. Also, let me know if you're enjoying how many times I switch up the teams, or if you'd like it more or less, and remember, subscribe. Peace.